first one we're going to do is a carrot raisin salad. The reason we're starting with that is we're going to have to boil our ingredients, and then we're going to have to let our raisins steep for a while so they plump up and come more, so they're not quite so dry. And while that's working, we're going to switch over to one of the other sauces and start preparing that. For our first raisin salad, we are going to take about 5 to 6 ounces of water. Because we're going to boil this and we're going to soak our raisins in it, you can go a little more, a little less. It's not an exact have to be perfect. It's just that you need it to get to a boil so that it's hot. We're going to see how well the stove works today. Turn that on high. We're going to add our water to it. We're going to add about an ounce of sugar to it. And then we're going to take 1 lemon. Best way to get juice out of a lemon, before you even cut it, beat it up first. Smash it on the counter, step on it, squish it, squeeze it. The softer you get it when you're doing this, the easier it will be to juice it when it's ready. We're just going to split it in half. Now, when you're doing lemons, either squeeze them through your fingers or squeeze them upside down. It'll help keep the seeds in the center, or it'll stop them in your gloves. This way you don't end up with too many seeds in your whatever product you're doing. It calls for about a tablespoon, so we're going to use half a lemon. And if it needs a little more, we can add it into our carrots as we're actually finishing our recipe. Now, this is a sweet recipe, however, it does call for a tiny bit of salt. Salt is actually an enhancer to flavors. It will make sugar taste sweeter. It will make sour taste more sour. So as long as you use it properly, it will enhance whatever flavors you're using. Naturally, if you use too much of it, you just taste salt. But if you take light amounts, it will make whatever you're using taste more of that flavor. So your raisins will taste more of a great flavor. Your carrots will have a creamier or sweeter flavor to them. So we don't want to add much, maybe about 1/4 teaspoon. And we want to take a wooden spoon, try and dissolve the sugars in this water as it comes up to a boil. Now, because we're not using a whole lot of water, it shouldn't take very long. Now at home, while you're waiting for this to boil and while you're waiting for your raisins to plump, sorry, is that in your way? We would need to peel and grate carrots. Because it took me about 20 minutes, I decided to do it before you folks all got here. I don't think you really need to stay and watch me grate carrots all day. You can get matchstick carrots from downstairs. Will work just the same way. It's just a little bit different texture. They're not going to soak up the sauces quite as well because they're a little thicker. By grating them fresh like this, you'll still get a slight crunch to your carrots, but it'll help soak up that juice a little better. This will also give you a slightly less consistent product, so you get a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller pieces. That'll also help texture your flavor and texture your salad. You start with about 2 pounds of in-bag carrots, and by the time you peel them, clean them, grate them all down, get rid of all your ends, it'll give you about 1.5 pounds of freshly grated carrots. Like I said, using the store-bought stick carrots is perfectly acceptable. Yep, 2 pounds of just raw carrots will give you about 1.5 pounds when you're ready to go. I know somebody was saying earlier how they do the simplest thing possible, so those matchstick carrots I bet would come in handy. You can also use a food processor to chop those up if you wanted it finer. It all depends on how much you like carrots and the consistency you like. The smaller carrots will give you a sweeter flavor. Baby carrots are always sweeter. Horse carrots are always kind of like, I don't even know what flavor they have. It's kind of just more of a texture thing. It's a very crunchy flavor, but it's not really a sweet carrot flavor. So the smaller the carrots, the better you'll be. 2 pounds will give you about 1.5 pounds once you clean them. And as soon as this boils, we'll get our raisins in it and we'll keep going. Our liquid is boiling at the moment. We're going to transport our raisins, I'm sorry, not grapes, into a larger bowl. And we're just going to take our liquid, go right over top of them and let them just soak all that up. The warmer you get your liquid, the more reaction you'll get with your grapes. They will open in cold water. It will just take a much longer time for it to happen. The heat helps break down the skins a little bit, helps open them up much faster. And you'll notice, I don't know if you can see on camera, right now it's just barely covering them. As this sits a little while, that water is going to evaporate out of there because it's going into the grapes, and you'll see much less in the bowl. And I believe this is cooled down enough we can actually do this. Yes. I have a small strainer. We're going to pour the rest of this liquid off. And we're going to start mixing together. Now, carrots as you grate them tend to grow. This little bag of carrots grew into this giant bowl. So we're going to add our sauces. And again, there are 3 ounces each, and that's actually what it calls for. However, nothing about cooking is in stone. If it needs more liquid, add more liquid. If you don't like Catalina dressing, reduce it back a little bit. It's just a basic guideline of a different flavor that you can try. We got most of the water out of these. Now, it actually calls for 3 ounces of mayonnaise and 3 ounces of Catalina dressing. Anybody here not like Catalina dressing? Anybody here familiar with it? Used it before? Have tried it? Now with this, you can add anything else to it that you like. Cinnamon, nutmeg, flavors, things like that. Something that you may be more familiar with. And I think we are going to need a little more mayonnaise and a little more Catalina. It's pretty close. You don't want it to be soupy. You just want it to be completely coated. This is one of those things, and carrots especially, there is moisture in them. The longer this sits, the more moisture will come out of your carrots. So if it's coated generously but not soupy, by the morning you'll have more liquid in the bottom. The other reason it's a good idea to hydrate your grapes first is because if not, they'll pull all of this flavor. So it'll help dry your salad out a little bit. Nope, it actually worked very well. Okay. All right, that's all mixed together. I'm gonna get a real spoon. I don't know why I struggled with that one so much. We're gonna grab a slightly smaller bowl. Now with this, it can be served immediately or it can be chilled. We have a little bit of time, so we're going to throw it in the refrigerator for a few minutes. Let it cool down while all this stuff is getting ready. And our salad should be ready. Pineapple, yes, not marshmallows and pecans. You can add anything you want to it. That's why I cook and I don't bake. Because when it comes to cooking, if there's something you really like, mix it in a recipe and see what happens. If it doesn't work, don't try it again.